Let some people get in here. Hope you're doing well. Hope you had an awesome Labor Day weekend. And today we're going to talk about when you are demonized for having good traits, or when you are demonized for traits that other people are rewarded for, or positive traits. This is really important if you have overcome something major in your life, or you are doing something really positive and you notice you're getting unfair, hostile, or negative treatment. For example, there was a woman who recently graduated from grad school, which is a major feat. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. She went to school, between 6 to 8 years in order to accomplish this. And when she graduated, her entire family treated her terribly. They were mean to her, they were cold, they stopped talking to her. Also, if you're displaying confidence, if you're displaying positive traits that other people may be rewarded for, such as a high self-esteem, or speaking up, or demonstrating yourself, presenting yourself in a way that's positive, you also may be seen as negative. And it's because they want to basically give you the idea that you're somehow too much, or you're too loud, or you're doing something wrong by being positive. So this is huge, and it's something really important to note. So I have my little whiteboard here where I wrote down some things. They want you to see your power as demonic. They want you to see your power as bad. And we have recently been noticing this with trends such as a lot of women who have finally stepped into, and this can go for men too, we'll get to that in just a moment, but women who have finally stepped into their power in terms of being independent or self-confident, or deciding to set boundaries, and they are labeling themselves as Jezebels, or as Delilahs, or most importantly, the dark feminine. And I thought about that the other day. When they're calling themselves dark feminines, it's kind of interesting because the reality of the situation is they're not actually doing anything dark. They're just stepping into their own power and having more confidence and believing in themselves more. So this is extremely important to note. There is nothing dark about being confident, about feeling good about yourself, about setting boundaries. You're not being dark if you tell someone, no, I'm not going to go out on that date with you. I'm not going to trust something that maybe I shouldn't trust. That's not being dark. That is preserving your self-confidence and making wise choices. So don't feel like you're being toxic or bad or negative because you are making good and healthy choices for yourself. It is okay that you are independent, that you have your own money, that you don't just take any offer that someone gives you, that you don't lower your standards in order to make other people feel better. So that is extremely important to know. Hold on just one moment here. Okay. There we go. So that's the first thing that I wanted to bring up. And if you haven't already, please hit the like button. You can double tap the screen, or you can click the thumbs up. So I've got my little notes here, but I wanted to talk about this. That's why I went ahead and hopped on a live stream, because this is a very important topic and I wanted to make sure I talked about it as soon as possible. Number two, women in general, from a sociological perspective, have only come into power recently in terms of having full autonomy, being able to do things like vote or work or be independent. As you already know, before we had an entirely different structure. So as a result, I have noticed a lot of women, when they are working, let's say a career job, or if they have a master's degree or PhD or any type of a degree, or are in a position of leadership, a lot of times they feel like they're doing something wrong, or they're doing something negative because they're in that position. It's okay to also be traditional, so to speak, that's awesome as well. But the whole point is being able to make your own decisions. And again, I've noticed a lot of women who are referring to themselves as dark this, dark that, dark feminine. You're not being dark because you're empowered and you're independent. Also, we have a society where a lot of women were rewarded for being, thank you for the likes, where women were rewarded for being submissive, so to speak. I'm looking at my notes here that I wrote down right here, so I don't forget any topics. And they were bashed for being brave and for having courage. And independence has also been seen as being masculine. It's not masculine. It's okay, but I've been seeing so much of this polarized men versus women. It doesn't have to be that way. It's okay if a woman holds a job, has a career, or stays at home, or does a mix of both, or maybe she does one for a little while and then she switches it up. That's not masculine. Maybe she just enjoys working, or maybe she wants to have a major career. But one doesn't necessarily threaten the other unless, well, we won't get too far into that right now. Also, too loud or too much. When a woman is expressing herself fully and showing up and being confident, she is often told or made to feel like she's being too loud, she's being too much, that she needs to tone it down or dial it back. And this can come through any form. Recently, wearing makeup for some people, putting some color in your hair, putting, colorful clothes on, or wearing bold clothes can all be seen as being too much. Where it's like, well, what's wrong with expressing yourself? And this can be for men or for women. It's okay if a guy wants to have a flashy hairstyle or wants to drive a flashy car if it makes him feel good. Sometimes people do it for the wrong reasons, but that doesn't mean that he's doing it for the wrong reasons. Another thing is, well, we won't get too much into this last one right now, but in general, just know that there are going to be people that are going to be threatened or intimidated by your success. And this is for men or for women. There are going to be people that, when you accomplish something, do not like it. I was just listening to a man discuss about how he got in the best shape of his life. He finally slimmed down, he lost weight, and he was antagonized by his family, making fun of him and accusing him of being too much or being too over the top, or why are you so thin, or what are you trying to do, and all this different stuff. And it actually made him lose motivation, made him feel like he's doing something wrong. And I've seen it where women have finally slimmed down and lost the weight that they wanted to lose, and were told that there's something wrong with them, or how dare they try to fit into a certain standard when maybe that's not even the reason why they did it. Maybe they just wanted to have a certain type of a shape. It's okay. So don't ever let someone make you feel like you're being too much or too over the top because you're doing something that is positive and that is healthy. And if you're just now coming in, please give this a like, double tap the screen, and what's up? Hi to everyone that's here. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. And also, it's okay to explore your spirituality. It's okay to ask questions. That's another thing. There are a lot of people that feel guilty about that. Even the Bible has some really good verses about how it's good to basically read and be wise and to study things. Multiple verses on that. It's okay to study things, to meditate, to learn new things, to learn new skills. Actually, one of my favorite gymnasts, I love gymnastics. She's almost 50 years old now. She's been competing now for so many Olympics, 8 or something like that, and still winning and still doing really well. Now, if you don't know about gymnastics, that was a sport that by the time you were 21 at one point, they considered that to be retirement age. And she's still going and doing an incredible job. So that's an example of what I mean. It's like certain people may see that as, oh, that's too much. Why are you doing that? Different things work for different people. For some people, if they try to do a sport at that age, it's completely inappropriate. It's not good for them. For some people, it works. Everything is relative. Certain people can wear certain things, certain people can't. And they can if they want to, but the point is, it's like not everything that may be too much for one person is too much for you. It might be perfect for you. That's what I'm trying to say. Certain physiques don't look perfect on everyone. It doesn't mean that that you're doing something wrong because you have a certain physique that allows you to wear certain clothes that maybe other people can't wear. Or that allows you to be able to do sports when other people can't do it. But there is a degree of shaming where a lot of people are made to feel like they're doing something wrong for not fitting into a mold or fitting into a box. So that's really important to know as well. So yeah, definitely be okay with being yourself and being confident. And it is very likely that you may encounter people that are going to try to make you feel like you're doing something wrong. Especially if you are leveling up per se, or you're making huge strides and you're doing things that you haven't done before. Yeah, there's a very good chance people even close to you are going to try to make you feel like, why are you doing that? What are you doing that for? Oh, why are you buying that property? Or why are you trying to get that degree? Or why are you trying to become a nurse? Or why are you trying to become a pediatrician or a veterinarian? Or why are you trying to go to that place? Or like, but don't let it keep you from doing things that are positive. I do wish there were more people that weren't afraid to embrace things that they are really interested in and that they really like. And we're more open to allowing people to explore themselves, so to speak, or find themselves, such as, maybe that entails like trying different hairstyles, trying different diets, going to different places, reading more, going on adventures. But unfortunately, we just don't live in that type of world currently at the moment. And if you do have a great support system that allows you to do that and is like, awesome, I can't wait to see it, that's cool, then great. Another huge part of this topic, and this will probably be the last part, is that I've noticed that there are a lot of stigmas. Actually, when I was graduating from the top school in the country of sociology and psychology, that's one of the things that I wrote my senior thesis on was stigmas. And unfortunately, there are certain stigmas that exist. So this has been proven time and time again. There's so many statistical studies on this, it's not even funny. But not getting too specific, if you are, let's say, a female, especially in particular groups or with particular markers, and you have certain traits that are very authoritative and assertive, confident, these things are more than likely going to be looked at in a very negative light. Where if you're a male with certain markers and a certain description, there's a very high chance it's going to be looked at favorably and positively, right? So for the woman, difficult, loud, mean, too much, even unprofessional, disrupt, like just any type of negative thing you can think of. But with the male, it's seen as brave, confident, go-getter, assertive, courageous, you name it. And that is literally because different people are stigmatized in different ways. And there are many examples that we could probably think of, but that's just part of how that goes. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't do something. One of my favorite female entrepreneurs actually is Martha Stewart. It's a little embarrassing to say this, but when you actually, if you listen to her biography, I listened to her biography a long time ago. I don't know which one it was. And it was really flippin' cool because she's like super independent. She likes to do everything herself. She would even like take a glass and then make it with pottery and then paint it and then sell it and then Photoshop the pictures and do the graphics and design her own websites, like even when she didn't have to, which was quite amazing. And she had like so many products. And a lot of her traits that she has, you know, for a long time, she was seen as maybe being not in the best light, right? Well, if we were to add, if she were a minority on top of that, statistically, all of the data shows it would be even more over the top. People seeing her as someone that is doing too much negative, you know, something like an independent worker, somebody that can work well to themselves, will get twisted up and now be someone that doesn't work well with others. A person that, you know, they have a lot of variety, maybe it may be switched to, oh, they take on too many projects, they can't focus, right? And that's how those stigmas work. So don't stop doing what you're doing is the point. Just because, regardless of whatever background you're from or what your story is, don't stop doing what you are doing because other people don't like it. If you're doing something that's positive and something that's good for yourself, that is good. It's not you that needs to change. It's society that needs to catch up, or the people around you that need to catch up. Okay, so I think right now what's going on is we are losing a lot of really creative, interesting, fun, and exciting people because we have marginalized people so much and we have shamed them for doing things that are positive. I really do. I don't think we live in as creative, expressive of a time as it was even in other periods, which may not seem like they were as like embracing it as much. I think that a lot of times new ideas and innovation is stifled for traditional, practical, and routine. So I think a lot less people risk things, even with businesses. They can't just start their own type of business. They have to make it cookie cutter and proven and something that seems more social, like socially acceptable or something like that. Whereas if you look at back in the day, a lot more businesses were cutting edge. Like when Jeff Bezos of Amazon started Amazon.com, and it started off as an online bookstore. At the time, that was seen as cutting edge and like, whoa, that's weird. And you don't really see that risk-taking effort anymore, in my opinion, because so many people have fallen into the trap of wanting to do things that look very acceptable, and that's not going to guarantee any success. That's not going to increase success at all. But I have noticed that, you know, they actually did a study on this not too long ago, a few years back, where they showed a lot of scientific innovations have slowed down quite a bit. I hope I've saved that article somewhere, but I'll have to go check. But a lot of innovations have slowed down tremendously because many reasons, but it's just people aren't really presenting these new cutting edge, cool, exciting inventions anymore. So hopefully that helps. Maybe I'll stay on for about another 2 more minutes. But yeah, remember, as far as women have just came into power recently. And unfortunately, a lot of times, because women did not have autonomy before, in terms of, you know, before they had to have husbands, they couldn't vote, they had to have husbands in order to have property rights and things like that. I think there was also another study that said one of the most recent minority groups that has been given autonomy, basically, are actually women. So as a result, since women are 50% of the population, this is something that's really important that we have to look at. Unfortunately, especially with the rise of things like people learning more about narcissism and overcoming different types of unhealthy relationship dynamics, more women are setting boundaries, but I've been noticing that when they're setting these boundaries, they want to label it as something dark. They see it as embracing their dark side or their shadow side. And it's not your dark side or your shadow side. It's actually just you being a balanced human. Just like the lady who maybe is a minority who starts a business and is very confident and laser focused. That's not her being a boss bee. That's actually another really great example. That's not a boss bee. That's actually just a woman that's just a hardworking entrepreneur. She's a hardworking entrepreneur. Hi, Reiki, how are you? So if you don't have any questions, I'm going to go ahead and head off. And I hope you have an awesome, fun, amazing rest of the night. And until next time, I would stay on a little bit longer, but I have some other stuff to do. So until next time, I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.